Hi and welcome back to the PARKSIDE workshop. My name's Philip, and in today's DIY, I'll show you a few different ways to build a drywall partition step by step. We're building a timber frame wall, one side single plasterboard, the other double, OSB plus plasterboard, with joints finished to quality level 2 for a clean professional look and improved long-term durability. The OSB board means you don't need a screw anchor for lighter things, you can just screw them straight into the wall with confidence and it'll hold fine. We're also putting up a drywall with metal profiles. One side will be covered with a single layer of plasterboard, while the other side will be finished with a double layer for extra strength. The double layer provides increased stability. It also supports heavier loads of things when used with the proper anchors. We filed the surface to quality level 3 and then carefully sprayed on a single even coat of paint using the spray gun. As always, you'll find all the materials and tools you'll need in the building instructions provided below. And with both drywall types, we'll start by building up the basic frame. And for that, we need a neat straight line along the wall. We mark this out on the floor, wall and ceiling using a pencil, folding ruler and laser to get perfect precision. Once the center line's set, we'll get straight onto the metal stud work. There are lots of types of metal profiles. The two main types are UW and CW metal profiles. CW is used for the wall and the vertical studs, UW for the floor and the ceiling. You can easily cut the profiles down to the exact length you want with tin snips. Before we screw the profiles down, stick an insulation strip onto the underside of the profiles. And that's to minimize noise. After that, screw the profiles down and use fixings that are appropriate for your floor, wall and ceiling, and make sure they're securely fastened for lasting stability. Once the frames are fixed in place, you can insert the CW profiles into the UW profiles and move them to the desired position. And you don't even have to screw them in. Just make sure all the CW profiles are facing the exact same direction. That means the opening should be pointing in a single direction. And when the pieces are set vertically, the frame is already finished. And with that, we'll move on to the timber framing. Our beams are already cut, and the ones that touch other parts also get an insulation strip securely fixed along the bottom. Then you align the bottom beam with the center line, do the same with the wall beam, and screw those in place. Then you screw the studs down and secure the top beam. And that finishes the second stud frame. Now it's time to begin installing the sheathing panels on the surface. The panels go up with the light side facing forward, and you can just screw them onto the stud frame. Each stud frame needs its own special screw type. Metal studs require fine thread screws for fastening. Wood stud framing, however, needs a coarse thread screw. Both types of screws are phosphate coated. That means they're corrosion resistant, since drywall draws in moisture and may accelerate rust on metal screws. Before you screw the board down, make sure you leave a 3 mm gap between the sheathing and the floor so footsteps and vibrations don't just transfer into the wall. The good thing is that one rod of a folding ruler is 3.5 mm thick, so you can simply slip a single rod underneath it easily. Be sure to avoid cross joints. That means here the narrow panel has to slide up to the top edge, with that gap pointing downwards, so the seam runs vertically instead of across, ensuring proper alignment. You can easily cut a sheet of plasterboard by scoring the surface, then by simply snapping it cleanly along the scored line. Each joint edge needs a bevel so that the filler can adhere well afterwards. And we just cut that bevel with the utility knife. And once the back is sheathed, we can insulate the individual sections. And that with fiberglass insulation. And if you plan to run electrical cables, this is the right time. You'll need to drill a hole here, and you can quite easily thread the cables straight through those cutouts in the CW profiles. And once that's done, this side can be sheathed too, in the exact same way as the back, on the other side. Also leave about a 3mm gap to the wall so the shell coupling can properly function. And now it's time to start filling. Mesh tape prevents cracking and should be carefully worked into every single joint. Remember to wash your tools right after filling. It's much easier to clean while the compound is still fresh. Once the wall has fully dried, go ahead and use a large spatula to smooth out any uneven areas. Then the wall is ready for a second coat. And now we'll start with the OSB wall. The OSB boards now simply need to be screwed onto the stud frame. The sides of the panels have a tongue and groove connection, with the side with the shorter groove always facing the stud frame. And now we, of course, use the coarse thread screws to fasten the board. And remember to leave 3mm to the floor. Once the boards are fixed in place, you can fill the cavities with insulation. And remember to always wear your protective gear. If you want to run cables through your wall, now is the very best time to do it. You would have to cut out openings in the timber framing to run your cables. And you should make them all at the same height. So later, when you're sheathing the boards, you'll know exactly where not to drive a screw, so you can avoid any damage. We don't need any cables in this example, so we can get on with the plasterboard installation. We can screw those straight onto the OSB board. The metal stud wall will also get a double layer on one side. And then we screw on the second layer of plasterboard with staggered joints, using slightly longer fine thread screws to secure it. And once all the parts are sheathed, we need to get back to filling. Different quality levels for the finished surface range from Q1 to Q4. And Q1 is the surface that's been filled and sanded only a single time, whereas Q4 is filled and sanded 4 times in total. For painting, you need at least a Q2 surface. That means we'll sand one more time and put another layer of filler on so the surface meets that standard before we start painting. Right, so this is a Q2 wall now, and we need to let it dry out properly before we can get to the next round of sanding. This wall is now at quality level 2, so it can now be wallpapered, for example. But we want to paint this wall, and I'd like it at Q3 for that. That means another coat of filler and another round of sanding, so it can be fully ready for painting. Okay, the wall is almost ready. What's left to do is to remove all dust, which means vacuuming it and wiping it down. Okay, now time to paint. So, and with that, our demonstration walls are already finished. Write in the comment section which type of drywall you think is best and why. Try it for yourself. You got this!